Sir Thomas Sterley and the Smugglers of Marseilles. In the year 1799, Sir Thomas Sterley was not yet the illustrious admiral he would one day become. At this time, he was a newly promoted captain aboard the 64-gun HMS The Houd, tasked with the unglamorous but vital duty of blockading the French port of Marseilles. His orders were clear: keep French ships bottled up, intercept any attempts at resupply, and ensure the Napoleonic war machine stayed hungry. But blockading a port, while crucial, was rarely exciting work. Days blurred into weeks as the crew endured the monotony of endless watches, the occasional skirmish with small French frigates, and the persistent stench of boiled salt pork. That is, until Sir Thomas found himself tangling with a group of particularly creative smugglers. The Strange Sloop. It began one moonlit night when the lookout spotted a small sloop creeping along the coastline, its sails barely catching the breeze. "Sloop off the larboard bow, Captain," cried the lookout. Sir Thomas immediately grabbed his spyglass and focused on the vessel. It was a rickety thing, its hull patched together with what looked like mismatched planks. But something about its cautious movements and odd shape didn't sit right with him. "Mr. Vane," he called to his first lieutenant, "what do you make of that?" Vane squinted through his own spyglass. "She's no fishing boat, sir." "Too nervous?" "If I had to guess, I'd say she's up to no good." "Well then," said Sir Thomas with a smile, "let's invite her to tea." The chase. With a crack of orders and a flourish of activity, the Houd came alive. The ship bore down on the sloop with the grace of a hunting hawk, her cannons run out and ready. As they approached, the sloop's crew seemed to panic, hoisting sails with such frenzy that one man fell overboard. "She's trying to run, sir," Vane shouted. Sir Thomas, calm as ever, turned to the helmsman. "Bring us alongside, but gently. I don't want to sink her until we know what she's hiding." The sloop zigzagged desperately, but it was no match for the Houd. Within minutes, the British ship loomed over her, and the sloop's crew, a scruffy assortment of men who looked like they'd been dragged backward through a barn, threw up their hands in surrender. The inspection. Sir Thomas and his boarding party climbed onto the sloop, pistols drawn. The closer they got, the stranger the vessel seemed. Its deck was cluttered with barrels, crates, and an alarming number of chickens. "Who's in charge here?" Sir Thomas demanded. A wiry man with a crooked nose stepped forward, tipping his hat with an ingratiating smile. "That'd be me, Cap'n. Jean-Luc Trouve, at your service. And might I say, what a fine ship you've got there." "Flattery will get you nowhere," Sir Thomas replied dryly. "What's your cargo?" "Why, nothing but honest goods, sir," Jean-Luc said, gesturing to the barrels. "Wine, cheese, and a bit of poultry. All bound for, Genoa." Sir Thomas raised an eyebrow. "And you thought the middle of the night was the best time for a delivery?" "Well, you see, Captain, the chickens, very particular about their sleep schedule," Jean-Luc stammered. "Indeed," Sir Thomas said, gesturing to his men. "Mr. Meriwether, open those barrels." The cargo revealed. The barrels were cracked open, revealing not wine, but muskets, powder, and bolts of fine French silk. One crate held what appeared to be wigs, dozens of them, powdered and ready for high society heads. "Smugglers," Vane said, shaking his head. Jean-Luc tried to explain. "It's all a misunderstanding. The muskets are for hunting, the powder's for fireworks, and the wigs, well, everyone needs wigs." "Mr. Meriwether," Sir Thomas said, ignoring the protestations, "what's that smell?" The gunner sniffed the air, then pried open another crate. Inside was an enormous wheel of cheese, so pungent that it made even the saltiest sailors recoil. "Mon Dieu!" Jean-Luc exclaimed. "That's le fromage royal. It's worth more than gold." "Well," Sir Thomas said, "it's certainly a weapon of sorts. Justice, Sterley style." Rather than sinking the sloop outright, Sir Thomas had an idea. He ordered the cheese hauled aboard the Houd, along with the muskets and silk. Then, with a twinkle in his eye, he addressed the smugglers. "Gentlemen," he said, "I'll not hang you today. But you will return to Marseilles and tell your comrades that British blockades are not to be trifled with. Oh, and you'll be returning this." He gestured to the deck, where the chickens had been gathered and, under the supervision of an amused Mr. Meriwether, painted bright red and blue with British colours. "What?" Jean-Luc cried. "My chickens." "Think of it as a message," Sir Thomas said. Every time they squawk, the French will know the Royal Navy is watching. The aftermath. The sloop was sent back to Marseilles with its ridiculous cargo, and the Houd resumed her blockade. A week later, rumours began to filter through intercepted French dispatches about phantom chickens and British cheese bombs. The crew of the Houd, meanwhile, dined like kings on confiscated wine and cheese. Sir Thomas, seated at the head of the wardroom table, raised a glass to his men. "To smugglers," he said, "and their uncanny ability to make our job so entertaining." Laughter echoed through the ship, and for a brief moment, the monotony of blockade duty was forgotten. Thus, the legend of Sir Thomas Sterley and the painted chickens of Marseilles was born, a tale still told with great relish in dockside taverns across the Mediterranean.